All right, welcome back to the Create Harmony podcast. So, let me tell you what you'll find right here. So, we are creating a community that is grounded in gratitude. We're committed to noticing those little everyday joys, things that maybe you're overlooking, but will bring you a peace and joy if you notice them. We believe in intentional living and being very intentional about the way we live in an effort to raise our well being. So there's a whole lot of creativity and fun in the things that we do. This is episode 170, and I'm your host, Sally Burlington. So this episode is going to go live in May, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So all month long, our content is going to be about how to take good care of yourself so that your mental wellness rises. And today we have big news. This is going to be so exciting because for the first time ever, we have a guest on the podcast. So our guest today is none other than Amy Cook from Petal and Pink Mental Wellness Boutique. And if you've been around a while, you've probably heard us talk about the partnership we've had with Petal and Pink. And today we're going to learn a lot more about all the great things that they're doing. So welcome, Amy. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be your first guest.
So exciting. So I thought it would be good if we start out and talk about how Petal and Pink got formed and just sort of the history of how you got to where you are right now.
Well, basically, Petal and Pink was started through something that I myself needed and wasn't able to find. So when I was going through my big therapeutic journey during COVID, like so many other people, and realizing that my life was just not working the way I wanted it to, my therapist would recommend tools to me that would be helpful, whether it was books or different ways to remain mindful and things like that. And it was so hard to find what she was asking me for. And part of it was when you are in a mental health crisis, it's hard to find the energy to do anything extra. Like I was just trying to survive at that point. And
Right.
so it just was really hard. So once I got on the other side of things and started feeling a little better, I thought to myself, this really needs to be easier. And I can't be the only one who feels like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I started kind of toying with the idea of opening a retail store, which I had never done before. Had always wanted to do a bookstore or something like that, and I've made things my whole life. But anyway, it would not, it was one of those dreams that would not leave me alone. And so my husband and I started looking for a spot, and we were able to find one that was very close to our house, and the pieces just kind of fell in place and made me realize that it was just meant to be.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know that you had sort of a clever journey to the name. So will you tell us how you got the name Petal and Pink?
Well, it started with about 30 notebook pages worth of potential ideas that were varying degrees of good and terrible. But I kind of brought it back to something that was personal to me. So the pink part of it comes from when I started therapy, I had no idea who I was anymore. Between years of just it, some of it is the generation that I'm in. I was raised to just be a people pleaser, that my job as the oldest daughter and, a wife in the South and all of those things was to just make sure that everybody else's life was comfortable and easy and that I wasn't causing any upset.
Hmm.
And so I had developed a very codependent style of whatever the people around me wanted or liked was what I wanted or liked. So my therapist asked me one day, like she said, for example, what is your favorite color? And I promptly said blue. And she said, really? And I thought for a minute and I was like, no, that's my husband's favorite color. But that's what I always picked because that's just what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really telling moment for me to realize that I just had completely lost my sense of self. And it's through no one's fault, it's just life. But it was probably 2 or 3 sessions later when I walked in and the first words out of my mouth were, it's pink. And she was like, okay, what's pink? And I was like, my favorite color. I've thought about it a lot. And that was what I came up with. So that's where the pink part of it came. And then Petal, if you've ever been in the store, we have a little character who adorns our walls and is on a lot of our products, kind of our mascot. And that came about because I really had a hard time sharing my feelings or saying anything the least bit negative or upsetting or too personal. So I've always been kind of a doodler. So I started doodling this little character, and she would say all of the things that I couldn't say. And she had a very foul mouth and she was very sassy. But it was just a way for me to get past that hurdle of not being comfortable saying it. I could write it down easier. And if it looked like it was coming out of someone else's mouth, all the better. And now, over years of getting therapy and learning and reading and all of that, I'm able to do it myself now. But she was kind of where I started. So that's where the second half came from.
Awesome. I love that. I've heard you tell that story before, and I just love that, those two things weave together into how you became a mental wellness boutique. So that kind of leads me to, I notice that the name of your boutique is a mental wellness boutique, not a mental health boutique. And I wonder if you'll tell us a little bit more about how you landed there.
Well, when I think there's a difference between mental health and mental wellness, they're very similar, but mental health is more of the clinical side of things. And it's also more the therapy side of things. I am not a therapist. Nobody that works with us, we don't provide therapy of any kind. But in order to keep your mental health where it needs to do, you have to practice good mental wellness. So it's kind of like your physical body. In order to stay healthy, you have to do things every day to work
Mm,
on your physical wellness.
mm,
So we want to encourage people to do the same thing with the mental side of it.
love that.
So we offer day-to-day tools to help you keep your mental wellness in good shape. We have a lot of books that have been recommended to us by therapists and other professionals, and then mindfulness tools that help you slow down, take a deep breath.
Mm,
I realize that that freight train in your mind is maybe not telling you the full truth of life, and different items like that. So we're really a support for therapy, things that you can do in between therapy sessions to keep yourself in good mental shape.
great. Okay, so if you will, you gave a little bit of detail about some of the things you have, but can you just give us some examples of, I just feel like your products are the kinds of things that you don't see anywhere else. They're very unique. And like you said at the beginning, they're the kind of things that if you're going through a mental health or mental wellness journey, you need to know where to find them. And so,
Right.
do you have any examples of some stuff that you happen to like that's in the store
Sure.
right now?
One of our most popular items are some watercolor workbooks that we have, and it's kind of like paint by number, but a very grown up version of it.
Mm.
So they're beautiful pictures that have been sketched out for you. And then they give you examples of colors that you can try. And we also sell the paint. So we try to make it so you can walk out with something that can help you immediately. You don't have to go three more places before you can do the project.
Mm.
So the paint books have been very, very popular. We've got some puzzle books like crosswords and word finds and Sudoku and just things to keep you from doom scrolling all the time
Mm-hmm.
and give you a different option to do. We carry a lot of affirmation cards that you can put on your desk or in your car. And we even have one of my favorite products is our shower affirmations. So, I have a lot of mental arguments with myself and other people in the shower. And I think of all the things I should have said. Um, but these affirmations, when you get them wet, they stick to your shower wall, which I just think is really cool
It's
and
neat.
a place where I often need a little reminder.
Hmm.
So,
Well, and I think it's a great place to get a gift for someone else, even if that person is not, currently going through therapy or whatever. There are just a lot of neat things in there. I recently got a gift for a friend who was having a big birthday, and I did get one of the watercolor books, and
mhm,
I think I got her a Neato fidget because everybody loves Neato fidgets,
yes.
and a cute little bag that you had in there. It was like had a real happy scene on it, and just it's a great place to source unique gifts for other people.
Well, we work really hard to find things that are both supportive and fun at the same time, because
Hmm.
sometimes the best thing you can do for your mental health is to just do something nice for yourself or do
Yes.
something nice for someone else.
Yes,
And it doesn't have to
absolutely.
scream mental health or mental wellness. It's okay if it does,
Hmm.
but a lot of the things we do, people are like, I don't understand how that relates to mental wellness. And
Hmm.
my answer most of the time is, well, does it make you feel happy to look at it or to use it? And they're like, well, yeah. So, well, that's all we're,
That's
that's
how it relates. Yeah. There you go. Well,
so
that's awesome. So we would be remiss if we did not talk about fidgets because fidgets
yes.
are a big thing in the store. So tell us a little bit about the fidgets that you have.
We have a whole sensory room that is full of items that you can keep on your desk or in your pocket or wherever you need to kind of. The biggest thing that fidgets do is they help you release a little bit of that anxiety that gets sort of stored up in your body. Like, for example, I have a fidget ring that I keep in my car, and it's just a piece of plastic that spins around. But if I am stuck in traffic or if I'm running late, which is more frequent than I would like to admit, and I'm nervous or tense about it, I can pick that ring up and spin it, and it kind of releases a little bit of that energy that is keying me up so much.
Hmm.
And we've got a version for everybody. We've got some 3D printed items that have been really popular. We have some squishies. We are hoping to soon restock on Neatos, but that's a whole another crazy story. But we do have some other squishy items. Um, we even have some things that are called little ouchies, and
Mm.
they're sharp fidgets for people that need a little bit more stimulation, I guess, than just a spinner or whatever. And they've been surprisingly popular.
Interesting. I don't think
So
I've seen those, but I do
yeah,
have a couple of Neatos and love those, and then some other little fidgets that I've gotten, and I have used them quite a bit in the boring Zoom meeting or
yes,
when I was taking a class and it was dragging on. And, it's not even anxiety, it's just energy that I'm
right.
just having to sit still and listen and just need to touch something with my hands. So, definitely recommend fidgets
And
for that
we
purpose.
even have some things at a little bit higher level for kids that are approved through Wake County school systems. They're by a company called Bouncy Bands, and they
Mm,
have what they call a wiggle seat. So for those kids that just cannot sit still, it gives them enough movement to keep them hopefully in their seats a little more.
mm-hmm.
Or we have a bouncy band that goes on the leg of the chair so that they can bounce their feet without shaking the whole table. And those fit grown up chairs too, for that one person in the staff meeting that you all know who I'm talking about that shakes the whole table with their leg
Yes,
bouncing.
for sure. Hopefully that person's not me, but yeah, yeah, for sure. So there's some other things that I think are really special about your store, and one of them is you do have a room in the back for therapy. Will you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, we've got a quiet therapy room in the back that anybody can come in and use, whether it is a therapist who needs some space to do virtual therapy or someone who is on the receiving end of their virtual therapy. For example, I do mine there quite a bit, and one of our other employees does hers weekly therapy in there as well. And it's just a small space where you can come and put your laptop. We've got a noise machine, a sound machine right outside the door that we turn on so you can't hear anything from us rattling around and we can't hear you. There's no charge to use that room. We just ask that you sign up ahead of time so that we know you're coming. And it's just a peaceful spot. Sometimes it's hard to find a place.
Mm,
Especially in the summer, like a lot of people do it in their car, but it gets hot.
yeah,
And sometimes you don't want to do it at home because that may be part of what you're struggling with. And so
right.
you just need a neutral territory. So we're happy to be able to offer that
That's
space.
awesome. Well, and the other thing that I think is really neat and unique is that you offer all sorts of different kinds of classes and events. And so and I think if am understanding correctly, you kind of pick a theme for the month and
Mm-hmm.
then teach the classes around that theme. Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct. And now sometimes we go rogue and just do one because we want to, but
Yes,
we
sure.
try to offer different classes we've had. We just had last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess, an author event where we had a local author who's written a book, one on her personal mental health journey, and then a second one that she's just come out with that is devotional for people that have anxiety and depression.
Awesome.
Fabulous book. So her name is MD Marcus, and she came and just kind of told her story, and it was fabulous. So we do classes like that, and then we also do, like, we had a mocktails class this week where we just showed
Fun.
some different ways you could take 5 minutes for yourself, and instead of just chugging down a can of Diet Coke, taking a minute to slow down, make yourself something a little fancy. Like, we had drink glitter and some garnishes, and it's nothing major, but it's amazing what 5 minutes of just slowing down and being intentional can do for your whole day. So that was another example. We've done art classes. We just try to keep a big variety of
Yes.
things.
Yeah, I remember some of the ones that I remember that were neat is that you had a person who was certified in Lego play come out.
Yes,
Apparently, what I didn't know and I learned from you is that the Lego Corporation has certified these teachers to teach about how to use Legos and be playful as an adult. And I thought that that was, I didn't, the night that it happened, I had a conflict, but I really, you should do that again. I loved that
yes, it
idea.
was a great class. It was so much fun. And of course, we've had you in to do vision board classes, which are
Yes.
always very popular.
Yes.
We usually do those in January, but I've been thinking about that we need to do a summer refresh
Oh,
because,
that's a good idea. Yeah, because
January Amy and July Amy are not always the same person. So,
for sure, for sure. Yeah, I definitely. I've talked about that a few weeks ago on the podcast that, the goals that I set in the beginning of the year maybe need a little refresh once
right.
we've gotten the year going.
Yes.
Um, because what I think is a good idea during the holiday season and the week of New Year's Eve, whatever, is maybe not practical for my
Right.
real life.
We were
So,
laughing about that today. My husband and I were buying flowers for the yard. And, like, I always want all the flowers, more and more and more. And then it's 110 degrees
oh yeah.
in July, and I don't want to go out and water them. And I think, ooh. So
Yeah, I'm a
sometimes,
great gardener in April and May, yeah, but not as much when the summer
right.
gets super hot. So, yeah, so I thought it would be cool to talk about, and I'll be happy to share this part, sort of how we met. And it's a weird, kind of a weird story because Amy and I happened to go to the same church, and we had been at the same church for a long time and had
Yep.
met before. Certainly, I had worked a lot with her husband, but my husband read an article in the paper or like a business journal or something about Petal and Pink. And he showed it to me. He was like, "This sounds like something you would be interested in." And I was in a really busy season, but I paid attention to the article and I thought, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there next week or whatever. And I took a little time out and I went into the store and I was talking to Bridget, who works in the store. And I was saying, I think this really aligns with a lot of the things that I do. I wanted to come check you out. I saw the article in the paper and blah, 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 blah. And she said, well, you need to meet our owner. And I said, oh, yes, that'd be great. And then Amy's husband, Jeff, walked out. And I was like, what are you doing in here? Because I already knew him. And so it was just a weird coincidence that, we just knew each other in a different setting, but have certainly gotten to know each other a lot more as
Yes.
we've sort of partnered together. So then that leads us to how we've partnered together, not just classes, but at some point last year, we made the plan that we would launch a subscription box. And so we're now on our second box. We did a box in the spring. We're doing them quarterly. We did a box in the spring, a box in the winter. Now we're doing a box in the spring, and we'll be doing one in the summer and in the fall. And what is special about these boxes, if you have not heard us say this, just listen in right now, because what is special about these boxes is that they are offering you an experience. It's not just a box of just random stuff. It's an experience that you can have of peace and joy. And what I mean by that is in each box, there's a card with a link to 5 guided meditations that were done by me, Create Harmony, and they're themed with the season. So in the winter box, we did a lot of getting in your cozy nook and sitting by the fire, and you're actually envisioning, you're listening to my voice and envisioning yourself going to these places, stepping away from your stressful life and having that experience. So you get that. And then once I have done the meditations, Amy takes those ideas and links products to them. And she's very intentional about what kinds of self care, mental wellness products she pairs. For example, in the spring box, there is a meditation that's about spring rain. And in the mental wellness items, she put in there an April showers, lotion, and room spray. So you see how that ties in. And then there's one that's called dandelion, and it's you're sort of like drifting on the wind with the dandelion seeds. And she put a dandelion necklace. So you're if you combine those items with the meditations, it's a whole robust experience. So I'll let you say a little bit about your side of that, Amy, if you would like.
Well, first off, let me just say that your meditations are unlike, I feel like they need a different word to describe them because they're unlike anything I had ever heard before. I have a very busy brain that I have a hard time shutting it off, but there is enough detail in your meditations and visualizations that it keeps me just my brain just involved enough picturing everything that I can shut out the rest of the world while I do it. So if you're thinking just humming along meditations, it's really not like that. They're really really cool. And I tried, like Sally said, we try to pair products that would not only enhance it when you're doing it, so maybe you rub the necklace between your fingers while you're listening to the meditation. But then as you wear that necklace, you can bring yourself back to that moment by touching it
Mm.
again and being like, okay, that's right. I need to relax. I'm just let my thoughts drift along. Same thing with, for example, the April showers. Hopefully, that smell, using your senses, will take you back to that place that Sally helped you find in your mind where you could relax and feel that peace and joy. So that's really our goal, is to make them, we work very closely together on making it an entire experience. And each
Yes.
thing on its own is valuable and useful, but when you put them together, that's where the real magic is
Yes.
the whole package together.
So if you are looking for a Mother's Day gift or a graduation gift for someone or a self-care item, you just think about that. And there are two other less robust ways to engage with the meditation or the subscription boxes. If you're thinking about it and you think, oh, I think I might like that, but I'm not sure I want to take the plunge to subscribe. We've done each season, we did a mini meditation box. This spring, it's all about making honey, and you sort of envision yourself as like part of a big hive of bees that are working together to bring something sweet and good into the world. And it comes in a little, instead of being a box, we're calling it a box, but it's technically a pouch. It's got this little cute bee pouch that you can use. It says, what does it say? It says be kind, or what does it say? Be
Mm-hmm.
kind on it, and it has a bee. And then in there is also a thing of honey and a little honey dipper and a bee charm and a wildflower puzzle. So it kind of all relates. And that gives you a chance to step in. You get that one meditation and just a few small items. You can try it out. And then once you've tried it out and you say to yourself, that was so absolutely amazing, I just need to subscribe, I'm sure that's what's going to happen. But if that is even a step too far for you, but you just want a tiny little sample or a smaller gift, this spring we had separated out all of the meditations and just put them on a card. So if you just wanted one meditation, like I just want to buy Spring Rain and I just want to listen to that and try it out, you can buy the individual meditation cards this spring that are in there, and that just it just gives you a little sample. And that's a good thing for like just popping in like teacher appreciation or something, somewhere you need a small gift but that you want to give something different and part of
Mm-hmm.
an experience. So there's
And they're pretty,
basically
so they make a pretty gift to add on. It's Sally did a nice card with it, and they come in a colorful envelope. So it is a great, either a tuck into a larger gift or something great to mail. And I know I've heard the other day somebody was coming in that they were in a snail mail club. So
oh
like every month they sent actual real paper mail to somebody else, and she bought one to put in there. So that's another.
oh
I thought that was a really cool thing to be interested in.
Yeah,
People are,
that's a good idea. I've never heard of that, and
yeah,
I like the idea. So more ways than one you can add that into your world. So
yep,
I'm sure that everybody is going to run out and get those, and those are
yes.
our that's our part has been our partnership so far. And then we're working on the summer boxes. Last summer, Amy, I thought, did the most clever and cool thing that she had sort of a theme for the summer that she called Camp Petal. So it was like grown up camp. You got to do all sorts of things. Kind of like, when you go away to camp, you just step away from your regular life and do things that are fun and adventuresome. And she just incorporated a lot of mental wellness things that are also fun and adventuresome, but more on an adult level. And we've sort of had that thought in mind as we're designing some of the summer meditations and the products that are going to go in the summer box. So stay tuned for that. And we're both really sort of noodling how we can even expand on the Camp Petal idea and just use that in a lot of different ways. How I can pull that more into the Create Harmony world and where it goes from here. So we've been talking about that some. Do you have any sneak peeks that you want to share yet or not yet?
We're kind of just pulling it together. Our thought is we're going to have a theme each week, kind of like when you sign up for YMCA camp, you can either get the Avengers week or the basketball week, or so we're
I
kind of
love it.
playing around with that a little bit. But we also have a book club for the summer. Some
Mm.
a little bit lighter books than what we normally carry, and it'll be a lot of fun. I think between Sally and I, we never have a problem with coming up with ideas.
Yes, ideas are not, we have no shortage of
No
ideas.
shortage.
So wait, I want to hear a little bit more about the book club. What is it? Do you physically meet or how does that work?
Yes, that is our plan. We did one last summer and it was very popular. So we normally in the shop we really focus on researched back therapeutic type books that
Hmm.
we've vetted and all of that. First book club, we kind of lighten up a little bit, and this year we're going to do 3 different autobiographies from people who have worked on their mental health in one way or the other. So we are doing one by Jen Hatmaker, who had been through a divorce and really was struggling with codependency and learning how to be a person in and of herself and remain in relationship and community, which that's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
We're going to do Glennon Doyle's book that I can never remember the name of it, Untamed.
Hmm.
Also, just a book about trying to figure out this world that we live in. And then a book by Jenny Lawson, who she writes a blog called The Blogus. And
Mm.
she struggles with very severe depression and anxiety at a clinical level. But it is the funniest book I have ever read, which I took one on a little road trip that we did, and I would just burst out laughing. And my husband's like, "What are you reading?" And I'm like, "It's about depression. It's the funniest thing I've ever read." And he was like,
I
"Okay."
love
so
that.
so they're just a little different take, but I think it'll be really, really fun. And I will say, last year when we did it, you're also welcome to come if you don't read the book. It's just a great opportunity for us to get together as a community and have more conversations and get to know some different people. So if you're not a reader or aren't sure you're going to have time, do not let that stop you from signing up. And we should have more information about it coming out here in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. And then, so for people, the one thing we didn't cover in our talk here is that it's so much of this happens if you are local, and we live here in Raleigh,
Right.
North Carolina. So a lot of this is local. But you do have an online store as well. And
We
so I
do.
don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit.
We do. And most all of our items are available online. A few of them you really kind of have to be able to see and touch and pick up or choose a color or something like that. But we have a lot of things online. Our subscription box and the mini meditations are available online. So we try to find ways to include everybody. We have thought about trying to do some printables and maybe even doing one of our book clubs over Zoom. So people
Oh,
who
yeah.
aren't local can still come and participate and see what we're all about.
That's awesome. I
So,
love that.
and all the information on that is on our website at petalandpink.com. And that's, you can buy things there. You can read a little bit more about the store, see what classes we have coming up and sign up for those. All the good stuff.
All the good stuff. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. That is so good. I'm so glad that we sort of took a moment to highlight all of the great things because I think Petal and Pink is very unique. and extremely special. And I think that sometimes that stuff doesn't always get highlighted unless you actually go in the store, and everybody can't do that. So I'm glad we
Right.
took some time to really focus on the different aspects. You've been very, very intentional and thoughtful about creating something really special that has a lot of neat aspects to it. So I appreciate you taking the time to share all of that with us. And I look forward to all of the next ideas, the ways that our
Yes.
partnership grows and expands, and hopefully we'll come up with all sorts of different ideas that we can actually execute.
Yeah.
Not just the idea, but also the follow through with the plan. So
Yes.
anyway, but well, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
joining us today, Amy, and thank everybody for listening. And we will be back. We're going to continue, as I said in May, we're going to continue through our self care and mental wellness. Not just mental health, but mental wellness, things you need to tend to every day. We're going to continue that theme throughout the month of May, and we'll be back next week with some more of that. And until next time, peace.